Okay, come on. Up, up, up. Okay, there we are. She gets to make her special appearance. No, 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 no. Hey, hey. Okay. All right. Okay, that's enough of that. I tickle so damn much. Off, off. Good girl. Good girl. Off. Off. No teeth. Off. Down. What did I say? Good girl. No teeth. We're going to go to the store and get a doggone muzzle. I've been putting it off long enough. Okay, greetings. Dr. John Taylor Kent here. I'm a retired psychologist. In case you haven't watched this before, you need to understand that there's so much brainwashing in our society that I'm going to do my best to screw up their brainwashing. I want to run interference. I want to turn you into a very flexible, rational person. I want you to be able to break out from the blinders they put on you. I want you to be able to throw off their yoke, the yoke of slavery. First of all, you need to understand that we've been destroyed. And at this point, they started their genocide. And so most of us aren't going to make it through this next decade. Maybe the next 8 years. Most of us will be gone. Me, I'm older. I've got to get my mission going, and that is to wake up you people. We're supposed to have a republic, but we don't have a republic. Can we get it back without firing a shot? Well, only if you're not dumbasses out there. Seriously, and I don't give a damn what race you are. You're welcome to watch my channel. And I don't give a damn what race you are, because you still could be a dumbass. A lot of ignorant people running around. Now, I was raised in a family of dumbasses. I hate to say it, but they were politically correct. I grew up in political correctness. Now, what does political correctness do? Well, it takes your view right out of reality. So you can't even see what's really going on, the truth. Your view of reality is just totally distorted. It's not real. And one of the things I realized when I was a little boy was, gee, the German people were better than we were. What the heck is wrong with us that we have to pretend they're the boogeyman and have this guy screaming at us on television? They sped up the video. They made him sound like a madman and look like a madman. He wasn't like that. Can't say his name. One of those things you can't say on this channel. Well, on this platform. So I discovered when I was a little boy that we had lost World War II. Who won World War II? Ask yourselves that question, because somebody definitely won. It wasn't the Germans, it wasn't the Americans, it wasn't the Soviets, and it wasn't the Brits. Who was it? Answer the question. You need to figure that out, because they won that war. They waged that war. They started the war. They manipulated all parties into that war. They run the banking systems. They work together. They're working together in coordination. Although that jackass Powell will tell you, oh, we're working independently from the European whatever central bank. Bullshit. They're all Rothschild banks all working together against you and me and against the little guy around the planet. They're working together right now. They're not working independently. So you want your freedom back? Go buy silver. Seriously, buy silver. Take possession of it. Don't buy stock. Don't buy stocks in silver mining. Take possession of silver. Their military machine cannot function without silver. You realize how many 100 pounds of silver are in one cruise missile? You know, those things are pretty expensive. They used to be only 1 million, then 1.5 million. Now they're probably more like 3 million a piece. More than 200 pounds of silver gets blasted up in those things. If you take possession of the silver and take it off the market, this fraud that the Morgan Bank has been pulling with silver, their manipulations will be exposed and it'll come collapsing down. Now you may say, why do we want to do that? Do you still want to go to war? Do you still want to go kill people that haven't done anything to you? Are you that insane? You want to support the Rothschilds to the style to which they've become accustomed, and all the other leeches that work with them? Heck, man, the president, those are the people that are running the world today. These politicians are nothing more than puppets doing what they're ordered to by the Rothschilds and these other hidden personages behind the scenes who shouldn't be so hidden to us anymore, but they're still pretty hidden. Have you heard of the Black Pope? Have you heard of the Black Nobility? No? Well, go look it up. Have you heard about blackballing? Have you heard about what occurred in Venice? Have you heard about the Venetian families? How about the Renaissance over in Florence? By the way, we no longer have a queen. Didn't you know the queen ruled over you? Yes, she does. Through a series of frauds and subterfuges, the queen ruled over us. Now we have a king. We need to get rid of that jackass. We got a pedo for a king, and we got a pedo for president. If that's the real Biden, it certainly is a pedo. But I don't know if that's the real Biden or not. Might be a couple of actors. Okay, could be even an actress doing it. All right, let's be broad-minded and allow the transgendered president to exist. I know that's a little off the wall. You need to become flexible, not just in your spine, in your backbone, but in your thinking. You need to become very flexible so you can shake off the shackles. Oh, and you people that call yourselves Christians out there, you're the most brainwashed of all. They gave you a bad Bible. A Bible with bad footnotes, bad study notes in it, so they could lie to you and deceive you. Let me give you one little hint. A Jew's matriarchy or patriarchy? Okay, are the Jews basically matriarchal or patriarchal? All right, answer me that question. Now, ancient Israel, was it matriarchal? Was it a bunch of women running the show and we got all these women's names throughout it that led everything, did everything? Or was it patriarchal? Was it men? Yeah, there's a difference. There's an extra biblical book called the Book of Jasher. Haven't you heard of the prophet Jasher? There is no prophet Jasher. There was no prophet Jasher. Jasher means upright, the book of the upright. It'll tell you about Sodom and Gomorrah's character. It'll tell you about what was going on. It'll tell you about the bad guys, to a large extent, the Edomites. You have a lot to learn. I have a lot to learn too, but you've got a lot of catching up to do. Do you want your nation back? Well, it's being run right now by a bunch of invaders. That's right. Same people that destroyed a bunch of other nations and got kicked out of a bunch of other nations. Oh, and by the way, they pretend who they are. They're masters at name changing and manipulation. The Bushes were prime examples of that. Their original name in Germany was Scherf, S-C-H-E-R-F. And Barbara Bush came from the Brown Harriman banking family. You need to understand the bankers are running the show today. We aren't in charge. Our politicians do what the bankers want. You know, my God, I mean, even the King of England let his ass get chewed out by one of the Rothschilds. So who outranks whom? We used to have a republic, and we certainly don't have a democracy even. What we have is a bunch of fraudulent stuff going on. We have the FBI protecting Antifa and Black Lives Matter. They protected the bombers at Oklahoma City. They actually supplied the bombs to the World Trade Center in 1993. The FBI murdered 31 eyewitnesses at the behest of J. Edgar Hoover in the Kennedy assassination alone. One group of the FBI was transferring baby nukes to Israel, while another group of the FBI was trying to track them down, and they crossed paths in Texas. That's why that barn got a missile on it. They were trying to destroy the nuclear footprint that they had left behind in there from their W-54 warheads off Davy Crockett tactical nukes. And by the way, they're so much on the inside, they knew that the small baby nukes weren't any good. They went after the bigger nukes because they were stable and still good. We've got a weird situation in which we have a bunch of dual citizens that have been doing treasonous stuff, and we still let them there because y'all Christians worship their butts. You turn them into sacred cows. You know, we can't say anything about them. We can't discuss it. We can't discuss a lot of things. And because of that, we cannot get a reality check. We cannot get to the truth. We cannot confront anything. We're not even allowed to have political opinions anymore. Remember the First Amendment, free speech? All of these licenses for these broadcast news companies ought to be yanked because they're not doing their jobs. They all ought to be taken off the air immediately. Same group of people owns them. Same group of people owns Hollywood. If Michael Jackson was alive, listen to Michael Jackson's songs. He'll tell you about it. That's why they went after him, maligned him, and made him out to be a pedo. I don't know what he was. I think he was a confused individual. I think he went through some weird hormonal therapy that threw him off as well. We really just don't know the truth about that. And that physician of his, he may have been tasked with killing him, like the physician in the emergency room was tasked with finishing off, you like to call him Reverend Doctor, Reverend whatever, Martin Luther King. He was no reverend in my opinion, and he was no doctor either. He plagiarized. He was managed by the bad people, and they finally decided they got all they could out of him, so they offed him. They killed his ass, they murdered him. And they framed up another patsy like they always do so they could get away with it. Yeah. So, we're living in a strange world today. It is hell upon the earth. And we are supposed to establish the kingdom of heaven upon the earth. It may mean fighting. But I'll tell you what, if you don't have your spirit right with Creator God, Father Yahweh, it ain't going to happen. You actually need to read the Bible so that you can act like our founders did, because they all knew the Bible inside and out. They didn't agree on everything. They had separate religions in different states. That's why the federal government couldn't have one, because each state had their own. And they all had tests of religious office in order to be able to run and hold office in their states, which is another reason why the federal government couldn't do it, because it was done at the local level. That's why voting was at the local level. Oh, yes. And voting it's not a right. Nowhere in the Constitution do men have the right to vote. Now, women have the right to vote because of that 19th Amendment, is whatever, 21st. 19th is what I think it is. Heck, I should look at those things. Anyway, what I'm getting at is that women have the right to vote and men don't. How fair is that? Now, some states, only landowners had the right to vote. In other states, only married men had the right to vote. And there's nothing wrong with that, because the family needs to be united. The man needs to represent his family. Doesn't mean he doesn't rely upon his wife for input. Heck, it was a team. It was a good team until the Industrial Revolution. Father and mother were rearing the children together on the homestead. And our education system, you want to restore this nation? Fire the teachers. Do away with this education system. Why should I be required to pay for that miserable education? It was like being in prison when I was in school. You want to get a proper education? Go back to the little red schoolhouse and make it local, where the parents pool their resources together and hire the teacher. And the teacher's beholden to them and does what the parents order them to do. Oh, and you people in Texas who think you're so big and so wonderful, you screwed up education with your standardized textbooks for the whole nation. Bunch of damn pansy-ass liberals were doing that stuff. And you forced it off on the rest of the country, and you think you're so big and bad and so righteous and independent. Oh yeah, you big, all right. You got a bigger state government than anybody else has. It's not a very good one. What do you need to know today? You need to know that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. You need to know that our founders got it right. We just have to fire off big portions of this government and chop it down to size. And the number one thing is you got to go honest money, because you can't counterfeit gold and silver. Well, it's harder to do it. And you have to actually go back to the original structure for the legislators. The original Congress didn't get paid. They got a per diem. The original senators weren't elected directly by the people. They came from the state legislators. They got together and argued and fought among themselves and elected a couple of guys to represent them. I think and they were getting paid, by the way, by the federal government. But I think we need to go a step further this time, insist that the state pay their own state senators. And that way, when those guys don't vote the way the state wants them to do it, they can be subject to being fired. Instant recall. Yes, they can go home and finish the seat to which they had been elected in the state legislature, but they were gone. We wouldn't have any more of these mavericks, McCains and all that. Jackasses like Lindsey Graham, his buddy, who's guilty of treason in my honest opinion. No teeth. Mouthy little pup. No teeth. Okay. I need your help. I want you to like my videos and share them. I also want you to buy my Bible. It's the only sponsor I have. My ancestor brought you the King James Bible in 1611. My ancestor also gave you the Shakespearean plays and basically the Elizabethan era. I like to say error because of the mistakes. Anyway, thanks for paying attention to me. My dog's paying attention in kind of a weird way, so I'm going to give her some attention right now. It's humid here in Arizona. You need to be careful. These people want to destroy us. They don't want to just rule us. They actually want to genocide us. They've done it in many nations before. They did it in Ukraine not once but twice. They starved them. They're setting us up for starvation. And they're doing their best to harm us as much as they can. So you need to wake up and realize that they have purposely, the bankers have purposely divided us, and they've conquered us. And they've got the FBI out there starting these weird movements. If there's a white supremacist movement, I can guarantee you there's an FBI agent that's at the center of it. It's like that attempt to, I guess, to kidnap that governor in Michigan. That was all FBI agents. It's all set up. It's like that first Trade Center bombing in 1993. That was the FBI's bomb. It was all set up. It's like Oklahoma City. The ATF discovered it 6 weeks before it occurred, and the FBI told the ATF to stand down, and they let the bombing occur, killing 19 children. Oh, and when the bomber, trying to remember his name, Andy Strasberg or something, he was associated with the Red Brigade over in Germany. They escorted him 9 months after the bombing safely out of the country to Nova Scotia. The FBI thought so highly of the man that had been hired by President Bill Clinton. Oh yeah, and Whitewater records were destroyed in that bombing, as well as 480,000 medical records on Gulf War syndrome, which actually would have been discovered to have been radiation poisoning, and those men and their families would have been taken care of. But that was one way to get rid of the responsibility. So we live in a medical military-industrial complex. Don't believe a word they say. The CDC is kind of a private organization that's in the vaccine business. It's not a neutral government, wonderful, noble. No, there's not much good about it at all. And look at the people who are heading this stuff up. They're all members of what I like to call the Khazarian Mafia. Now, in the Bible it says synagogue of Satan. You need to start paying attention to that stuff, because there are your cues, your clues, so that you can awaken and defend yourself. They are going to take us down. They are going to get us to fight. I wouldn't be surprised if they've already been doing skirmishes in places and we just don't get good news. We've already had, I think we're going to, by the end of this year, we'll have a million more deaths than normal in the United States of America. And there was a woman in Canada who was trying to get statistics, and she's a nurse. She couldn't get the stats. And she said there's a billion deaths across the whole planet that were unexpected, sudden deaths. So you need to understand there's all kinds of technology being brought to bear. Poisoning, medical stuff, radiation stuff, chemicals, biologicals. They're fighting an unlimited war against us. But all we have, as Barack Obama says, are guns in our Bibles. So far, we're clinging to our guns. You folks need to take up your Bibles and educate yourselves. Yes, the United States of America was the great nation foretold towards the end of the book of Genesis by Israel the man himself, when his sons gathered together. It's in the Bible. And then our brother actually became a company of nations, Great Britain. But they're also overtaken by the evil ones again. Most of these leaders we've had have not been good leaders. Winston Churchill, when Barack Obama sent the bus back over there as kind of an insult, he was just trying to distance himself because he was a British subject, beholden to the Queen. He didn't want anybody catching wind of that, so he made sure to insult his Queen. She knew what was going on. Folks, we aren't independent. Since the War of 1812, we haven't been independent. It's been a bunch of subterfuge, a bunch of lies. Well, thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate you. Hoping to get the word out there, and I'd love to get, well, I haven't even got 1,000 views. Part of it is I got 2 channels, so it's a little watered down. I already had a strike and couldn't upload for a week on one channel. I mentioned something we're not allowed to mention. However, the judge in Texas said that Facebook could no longer censor political speech. So YouTube is not going to be able to censor political speech much longer. And I look forward to the day when that's in court. Matter of fact, if it goes to court, give me a call. I want to throw my lot in with that, because they've damaged me as well. They damaged the whole nation. Should we allow them to persist? Yahweh bless America.